Right, it'll tell me. There we go. So we are now live. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me and Sylvie today on this lovely little Facebook Live. Apologies that we didn't get to do it yesterday. I had a bit of a hoo-ha yesterday, so we've switched it over to Thursday rather than Wednesday, which is the usual day that we do it. So as always, guys, if you want to leave any comments for us, please do. Because we're live streaming on Zoom, we're not going to be able to see the comments live. So we'll come back to you after the event. If you've got any questions for me or Sylvie, you can tag us in the comments and we'll come back to you. If you're watching on replay, same thing. You can hashtag replay if you want to, but if you tag us, then obviously we're going to see your comments. And Sylvie will drop the links to her business and everything else after this is all over. So welcome, Sylvie. Thank you so much for joining me today. Much appreciated.
Oh, thank you for having me, Louise. That's great.
More than welcome. I'm really looking forward to this. So today we're going to be talking about being authentic and building your authentic brand and how you can use that authenticity to stand out in the marketplace. And it's quite a big subject, and we have talked about authenticity quite a lot. It's a huge, as I say, huge subject, but something that's vital, in my opinion, when it comes to running your own business. Especially if you're a small brand. So before we get started, Sylvie, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about you, what you do, who you serve, where you come from, and all of that jazz.
Yeah, no problem. Well, I'm Sylvie Bar, and I am French, as you can hear. So let's get that clear from the beginning. The strong accent, I can't shift it. I've been in
lovely accent.
For about it's coming because I remember I was always I arrived just after the Easter weekend, so we are celebrating I think it's 27 years, my goodness, of being here. And I came here for sort of work, and my career has been in marketing and branding, all along. And I thought I would be
doing
a stint of about 3-4 years in the UK and then go back home, but it didn't happen. Married a Glaswegian, and then sort of now that's my place, that's my home.
Fabulous.
So yes, I really enjoy it. I like the culture here, and career in marketing and branding, so spanning across different types of organization. Cut my teeth at the beginning on and learn the ropes through, big corporations, blue chips, which is good because it gives you, the sort of discipline and the structure of those, professions. But at the same time, I wanted all along to sort of, do something in my career that would make a positive difference somehow. I was not sure how, but I wanted to do something good.
Yes.
And so I joined after a few years in a blue chip company. I joined a company, a much smaller company, but I was at the time, it was beginning of 2000, that was like fair trade, pioneers, Cafe Direct, and, sort of working with growers to sort of get them a better, sort of livelihood through better prices. So I did that for 7 years. Then I moved to the charity sector, worked for the Royal National Institute of Blind People.
Yep.
So again, that was, really wanting to make a difference to the, it's quite a big thing because you don't realize how, it's that kind of stuff. Once you've got it, you don't realize what, if you were to lose it, how, it would change your life.
Completely, yeah.
And so that was really good to work on that brand for a few years. And then I had a big meltdown, a complete burnout. It became, very difficult to carry on commuting to London 5 days a week.
Yeah.
My daughter has got special needs, and she was about to, finish primary school and go into secondary school. I couldn't figure out how I would do, both parents working full time.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, her being able to, sort of go to secondary school when she needed, sort of more support. And what you realize is that, childminders, they stop at primary, sort of age. And then after that, kids are supposed to look after themselves, take the bus and do that stuff. So it got to the point that, it really got in my head, like as a complete sack of knots, and I just crashed.
Yeah.
So, but I think, and I know that, your group, you're quite attuned to this thing about sometimes the universe is sending you some, messages. If you don't want to listen, then, it's going to keep knocking at the door. And I think that's what it was. It was very much to sort of say, look, you're not, it's not working. So that's what happened. And then that's when I realized, during my recovery, that the thing that was, not working is that I was not true to myself. I was not in line with my values, which very much was, yes, I love my job. I love, what I can do, professionally, but I didn't decide to have a kid to, sort of not to see them either.
Yeah.
And especially with, with her, felt, I'm quite motherly. I've been motherly in all aspects of my life. At work, being a manager would sort of be, that sort of like
natural.
And so for me, it was like really something that I wanted to be a good mom. I wanted to be a good, sort of colleague, but also, all the roles that a woman holds, like, your daughter, your friend, your spouse, you can, if you look, and we are typically, I was talking to, I went to yoga this morning before this, and talking to women, we have got that tendency to just, put ourselves last. And then that's that kind of stuff that, I've learned the lesson now. And all this stuff got me to, after, a couple of years of freelancing, to sort of say, that's it, I'm going to set up my own business. That's going to be the thing that's going to get me that balance between being able to look after my daughter, take her to college, bring her back, and at the same time having the flexibility to run a business from home. And obviously we had a bit of ups and downs with COVID, and everybody had to adapt and flex and stuff. But that gave me this opportunity to really think about what I wanted to do with my skills, so namely in branding and marketing. And it was very much this thing about how to help people to be, true to themselves at work, especially small business owners, because throughout my career, that's where I realized that this is the type of businesses that I really enjoy, because you work really closely and you can really have an impact, as opposed to these big, multinationals, like giant, and you're like, one drop in the ocean and you don't know, whoa. And so that's how the idea was born, sort of help small business owners use their brand as a way to stand out naturally in the marketplace, and very much by sort of anchoring the brand in their true self.
Fantastic. What a journey you've been on. And I think that, as you say, it's finding, sometimes it takes something horrendous to happen to us in order for us to sort of stand back and say, do you know what, a similar thing happened to me. I had a massive crash and burn. I've had several, to be perfectly honest, and each thing is something else. A phoenix has risen from it, and I've said, you know what, no, this is what I need to do. And sometimes I've been wrong, but I think when you find it, you find it. And I found it. It certainly sounds like you found it, so it's fantastic. And what a wonderful mission as well. You sound, you're leading with your purpose there, and it is very, very centered in helping other people and helping them establish growth in their businesses, and to find that sense of authenticity and alignment in their lives and their businesses by sort of cultivating that within them. So what you do, I think, is absolutely magnificent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I mean it. Authentically, I mean it. Okay.
I believe you.
So when it comes to being authentic, because it's something that we all sort of talk about, and we kind of bang the words around quite frequently, but what does being authentic really, how do you define being authentic? What does it really mean to you?
Well, I think, it starts very much by knowing yourself, and that's, what you were talking about in terms of all the journeys that we've had, and some people, they are very, easily managing to be true to themselves because they've got that very clear, sense from very early on what they are. Whereas, it took me a while. And I think the thing that, it depends on your personality, it depends on your upbringing, it depends on, your surrounding, who you were, parents, friends, your mentors, like your teachers and stuff like that. So everybody's got a different, sort of path. Mm-hmm. But I think to me, what became quite clear is that for a number of years, I was cut from my spirituality because, being brought Catholic, as, most people in France, I just had a rejection of religion, mm-hmm. but I'd misunderstood that religion and spirituality were the same thing when they're not.
No, or particularly organized religion.
Yeah, exactly.
A personal spirituality.
Yeah, totally. And so when I regained, and actually that was interesting. I was through my recovery with yoga that sort of got me back into discovering, my own relationship with spirituality. And that's when I did sort of more work on understanding what motivates me, what my values are, what my beliefs are, and so on and so forth. And so being authentic is being able to, sort of really understand that what makes you, mm-hmm. and then live it. Just walk the talk. That's to me is what being authentic is about.
Absolutely. So that, a huge part of that is establishing your core values. And I think in terms of spirituality, I think oftentimes people find it quite difficult to sort of find their soul purpose, let's call it. And that comes from practicing spiritual kind of activities, let's say, such as yoga, meditation, journaling, things like that. And becoming more self-aware, isn't it? And saying, okay, well, which parts of my day-to-day life are actually in alignment with my true self versus which bits are actually kind of like causing that friction, which then can often lead to stress and burnout and things like that, and just unhappiness in general. Absolutely. So why then would you say that it's obviously it's pretty kind of answers itself, the question, but why do you think like being your authentic self in terms of business, but in general, let's say, what are the kind of benefits? What's the most important thing, do you think, kind of comes out from that?
Sorry.
Then to sod off.
I spam all the time. So the benefits to yourself, well, as you know, is just feeling whole and feeling that your life has got a meaning and you've got the energy to get up in the morning and do the things that make you sort of like, I don't know, just more expansive, and you just realize what you were meant to be, to serve whoever you were sort of meant to serve, and it doesn't necessarily mean to be in business. It can be in any other profession, or not even professions. You can decide to be like a full-time mom and sort of find deep joy and passion in doing that as well. So to me, that's is to just live your life well, because you're in complete alignment with what your true self and your inner self is here for.
Absolutely. And I find that things flow easier. You don't have the same, a lot of us suffer with procrastination or inaction or or there is that kind of something stopping us from moving forward. We lack motivation, let's say, and a lot of the time that gets kind of cast off as you're lazy, or whatever it is, or just do this pragmatic advice kind of thing. But actually what happens is when you do step into that authenticity, because you are kind of being guided by your purpose, everything becomes easier. There's more flow, there's less friction, there's less resistance, and you do what needs to be done because you understand that it's taking you towards your purpose. So there is no need to get up in the morning and motivate yourself, because you want to do it. It's already there. It becomes an intrinsic motivation, doesn't it? So
that's the word that, you know, I was about to say when you just said, I said, it's that resistance thing, that because, you know, and that's the thing, is that either you get it, you know, naturally, or it's important to do the work, I think, on yourself to then be able to sort of be in alignment with who you are, and then everything, you know, sort of falls naturally, and then use that as the basis to, you know, sort of decide if you want to be in business, then what type of business. And then in terms of, you know, the thing that I do is to really make sure that once, you know, these people, and I tend to work predominantly with women who will have had, you know, they are not in their 20s, they are, you know, they've had a journey, so typically in midlife, and that's quite broad, you know, it could be like late 30s, early 40s to, you know, well into their 50s, but they've done the work. So the inner work, and they decided, that's it, they found their calling, they want to go into business. And then they find that, oh my God, I've got to do this marketing and that branding thing to be out there. And I'm just like, I just want to do and follow my passion. I want to be, I don't know, you know, a therapist. I want to be an hypnotist. I want to be a yoga teacher. I want to be a writer. I want to be, you know, but I've got to do that marketing thing. and it's like, and they go with, and what I'm trying to, you know, sort of explain to my audience is that don't put the horse before the cart. Don't sort of say, oh, well, to go into business, I need a logo and I need this. First of all, understand who you are, what you're trying to do with your business, what your core values are, and then build your brand around that. And that's my method, because the key thing that, you know, throughout my journey with that work of brands and branding, what I've just, I had my aha moment at one point, which was that, you know, that stuff that people call brand, that's not, you know, there's not something that just appears and exists on its own. It's like a business doesn't exist, you know, business are made of people. And so there's the same thing for brands, because brands and businesses, they are just two sides of the same coin. Behind each brand, there was a business, and behind a business, there was the business owner, the person who founded that business. And so if you root the brand into that person and what they stand for and who they are, then that's how you stand out naturally in the marketplace, because you're really, you know, sort of birthing that brand, growing that brand, and grounding it in the strong roots of yourself.
And this is why I think it's so important to excuse me, to work through those early stages. I mean, for a start, finding, you know, stepping into your own authenticity and finding your purpose are, you know, it's quite a turbulent process for some people, but it's very healing, because once it's there, it's there. So then it's constructing your business, I suppose, around your, you know, your purpose, your mission, your vision, these things that kind of seem like business tasks, but actually they're integral in order to build upon that brand. You know, you have to know what you're all about before you can build upon that, don't you?
Totally. So, and if you've got answers to those questions, then you've got a reason and you know, a support mechanism when the going gets tough. Because running your own business, as you know, is you know, it's not a piece of cake, otherwise everybody would do it. But when, you know, there are days when she's like, oh, this is not what I planned to do and stuff. If you go back to these core things as to, you know, and I agree with you, that might sound a bit corporate, this sort of vision, mission and stuff. And that's why I also do that in working with my clients. I say, you know, you call it with the word that works for you. So vision, you can call it dream. You know, what was that dream that you had when you say, I'm gonna set up that business, purpose or mission or role, what is your role? That, it's just finding the language that's gonna work for you. But ultimately, these are the things that really gives you that strong, sort of, roots. I call them roots because they're really grounding you and sort of helping you, anchoring you. And they are the foundation of your business before you can set forth.
Absolutely. And then they also act as points of reference. So when you do find you're having, if you're struggling with something, or if something isn't quite right, or you've got a client and they don't sort of sit well with you and you're not sure what to do, go back to those reasons, go back to that purpose, go back to your initial intention and your dream and everything else, and say, okay, does this actually align with this? And if the answer is no, don't, because I think that's the other thing, is there is an inclination, particularly as women, to people please. And, we often kind of say yes to things when we ought to be saying no. So, I mean, there's a whole thing about boundaries that we won't get into today. But there is that element. And I think part of that is because of, societal expectations, or, the system is set up in such a way that we conform to other people's ideas or expectations, particularly in the workplace. So if there are people, women within the age bracket that you're talking about, particularly me included, come from backgrounds where we've had these expectations. If you've been in a management role, or worked in corporate, that this is how you're meant to be, you fit in this box. So then when you start your own business, trying to break free of that box is very, very difficult. And so we become more methodically minded, and we're sort of business minded, and we think, where do I fit in the market? As opposed to saying, no, what do I want to bring to the market? So I think that's a really tough thing for some people.
And even if there is that conscious, sort of decision to say, that's it, I want to run the show from now on because I don't want to belong to it. As you say, it takes time to shed, the sort of,
get rid of all that.
All these things that, have been, sort of put on those many, years of education system, training programs and stuff like that whilst you were an employee. So it's quite,
it's really tough, especially being, in terms of being a woman as well. It's the expectations that are put on us in a kind of from a masculine standpoint. I mean, I certainly know I was told that there were certain ways of talking to be taken seriously by men. Certain language that I had to use, and all of these different things, not showing particular emotions, because apparently kind of anger, frustration, and just being a dick aren't emotions to, according to men. So, anything else aside from that, I'm angry at you, but I can't get upset because that's an emotion. You're a woman, so all of these things, and being told often that your personality isn't in keeping with the company. You have to strip yourself right back, and then to unlearn that stuff, and to uncover and rediscover yourself and who you are and what you want and what you stand for can be a real process. It's not an overnight fix, It is something that we have to work on, and it is a constant journey. You never reach an end point. There's always going to be something more that you uncover, which is why it's so important to have a community of like-minded people. You can all kind of coax it out of each other, encourage each other and support each other during that journey.
And that's quite a good point that you're making here in terms of that constant evolution, because that's why I was talking to a few ladies who took on my new service, which is a course, where I'm trying to bust also that myth that a brand is something that, bish bash bosh, you've done it, you created your logo and stuff, and that's it, move on. No, a brand, because it's much more than that. It's about all those interactions that you've got with, either potential customer or existing customers. It's a constant evolution. And because it's anchored in you and in your business, so your business will evolve. There are things, either by your own choice because you want to develop something new, you've identified something that you really want to do, that you didn't have the time or the means to do before, or by sheer conditions put on your business, like this massive thing that we've been living for the past couple of years. So nothing is static, everything changes, and businesses and brands are part of that. They are changing. So what you were offering to your clients 3 years ago and what you're going to offer 3 years on from now will have changed. There might be subtle change, there might be radical changes, but all these things I've got a bearing on the brand. So the brand is like it's an ongoing job. It's a sort of thing to really nurture, and because my passion and I've found a lot of inspiration in nature.
Yes, I was about to say, actually.
And so I've anchored all the things around what I talk about, businesses and brands. It's like, that's why I talk about growing strong roots and thing. And when you see that brand evolving, it's like a tree, sort of maturing and then sort of get new branches and things like that. It's an ongoing,
And there will be changes as well. I mean, for some of us, one kind of core belief, let's say, might change as you grow and evolve yourself and you learn new things and you keep your eyes and your mind open, and you might sort of, something that you believed a year ago may be something completely different now. And I suppose you have to then just allow for that natural flow and evolution. And kind of, I think a lot of people worry about that as well, don't they? They kind of feel that they have to be
that's true.
And whereas that's not true at all. Of course, things are going to evolve naturally. But again, that then, we start to worry about them rather than, what we're putting out into the world. We start worrying about, how am I going to fit into somebody else's version of what they think it ought to be?
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, then. So in terms of everything we've just been talking about, how would you suggest then that we carry this authenticity into our brand so that then enables us to kind of stand out in the marketplace?
Yes. So, well, the key things that I go through with my method is exactly what we were talking about. So your, vision, mission, values, your beliefs, what you thrive on, and your personality. And I usually, that's something also that I've, sort of by working with clients I've discovered, over the years, is that's very much the corporate model to sort of say, you start with a vision and then a mission, and then I've saw that it's quite difficult to do it in that order. So I flipped it, because when you think about it, vision is quite big. So to sort of help them understanding how to use that in their brand, I start with their personality, and then I move up to beliefs and values, and then I move up to what's your why or your purpose, and what's your big dream, so that they can really sort of start working, because that's one of my my core sort of values, and also trait of my personality. I'm quite a practical person. I like learning through examples, and I like giving lots of examples to my clients as well, and the practical application, I give them practical application for their brand, and the easiest ones that you can sort of start on that journey to really infuse yourself in the brand is with personality, because there's the first thing that people will sort of notice. So we look at things like how your personality can influence the color of your brand, your top sort of color palette, because usually your preferred color has already consciously or unconsciously something to say about your personality. And if I've got also a not separate but an alternative way of looking at color with people who work with energy work. And then we look at the energy of colors, and so how they can sort of use that when they are about to choose a palette for their brand. The same with your the way you sort of communicate with people. So be it, like we do now, talking or writing.
Yeah.
The way you express yourself is, show also your personality. You're gonna have people who are gonna be a bit more, reserved and maybe more on the formal type of copy. Some people are gonna be like very bubbly, expansive, put lots of emojis and and that is already sending some signals to your customers about how you engage with them. And then we go into values, and so we explore their values, and then sort of use that. The word I use is, they are your compass in your journey. You were talking about point of reference, but it's another way to say it, but it refers to the same thing, doesn't it? And so it's more on the type of behaviors in your business. So, for example, if I've got one of my core values is honesty. So how do I apply honesty in my business, in the relationship that I have with my clients, with my suppliers, and so on and so forth?
Yeah.
So, if there is something, for example, a supplier I'm not happy with, rather than grudgingly, sort of take the invoice and then say, I'm not going to use them again. I'm just going to, sort of let it out.
Yeah.
And the same with, customers, if they are things that I generally believe that are not in, their best benefit. From my point of view, rather than just sort of say, yes, it looks lovely. I'm just sort of say, you could do something better if you were using, going down that route as opposed to that choice. So we look at that, and then we go, and one notch up every time, and then the purpose, because that is really helping understand also your ideal client. So it's really understand, why in the first place they decided to be business owners, because it's never just for the money, is it?
No, there's always a goal beyond what we refer to as goal beyond the goal. As my lovely coach Sarah said to me before, and we did, delved really deep into that, because you think, I just, I want to be comfortable, I want to make money. It does. No, there's way more to it than that, and uncovering that is quite a process in itself.
It is a process. It is, and so that's where we look at more the aspect of, so who are you here to serve? Yes, you've got the personal motivation, like I want to be, free or comfortable or flexible, but it's looking more at that aspect. So who are you here to serve? And then delve into understanding the ideal client. Because the magic happens when, you've got, and that's how, you stand out naturally, authentically. And then because you do that and you understand your ideal client, you're going to connect with them with more ease. So we look at, what typical is your ideal client. So rather than having this point, and that's another myth that I usually, tell them. Mythbuster, a brand's like a person. It cannot please everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
And be cool with that, because,
we call it sell or repel.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it's that. And there are enough people on this planet for, even in this country, to just, focus on who you really are. Because if you're who you really are, then you're going to attract the people who, are on the same wavelength as you.
And who need you. That's the thing. I think, something that I always think to myself is that there is an element of us in our ideal client. Usually those of us who are in sort of kind of, let's call purpose-led businesses, in terms of wanting to help other people to manage things or evolve in their own way, or whatever it may be, it's because either we've been through it ourselves and we realise that there is a necessity for it, and we would, we relish in helping other people, helping lift other people up and elevate them and empowering them and things like that. And that there is a real need for it, which is then another driving purpose. So it kind of, it's like a sort of a seesaw, or like a,
exactly.
It flows naturally. You go back to and forth, I think.
Totally. Yeah. And that's that we work on, and And then that helps, you know, with the dream, and which is basically what they think, you know, the market or the world's gonna be, even when their business is successful. But that, to have that drive, so that whenever, you know, they go back to the day-to-day and stuff, they are able to sort of say, okay, make those decisions, and then say, are they, you know, aligned with all this? And then I finally help them with that I help statement, which is, you know, what again is a message that you really want to sort of bed in, so that people, you know, can quickly understand, okay, right, that's speaking to me. I want to, you know, sort of work with you now, or I want to buy from you now, because you totally, you know, you send the signals that you understand them. You've got the solution for, you know, their pain point or their problem and whatever. And you say it in a way that completely chimes with them, because you're on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. And that's where the magic happens. Because as you say, you get a great energy from working with like-minded people. It becomes far more pleasurable, and I think more productive, and also better results, you know, sort of for both the client and the business itself.
It's fulfilling for you as a business person, you know, as a business owner, or as a woman in business, and it genuinely is helping somebody else. And there's nothing, for me, there's no better feeling than knowing that you've really made had a positive impact on somebody else, and that's then going to help elevate them, and then they're going to have positive impact on other people. And then that's you know, that's the beauty of it, I suppose. It's a you know, it's kind of a pay it forward sort of thing, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, fabulous. Oh, well, thank you so much for coming on today.
Pleasure.
Once the video's kind of posted, if we'll pop in the comments, we'll see if anybody's left us any comments, and I'd like you to put the links to your business, you know, mailing list, Instagram, whatever it may be, put them all in different comments, so that that would bump the post up the thing as well. But thank you so much. This has been an absolutely fabulous conversation. It's been fascinating.
Me too. I really enjoyed it. And again, that's that. And you know, I think it's the opportunity that these past 2 years have given us, is that it created all these tribes, these communities on, you know, on socials, where you can really, you know, sort of make your choices, and then sort of say, no, actually, these are the people I want to work with. And that's, you know, if you understand your ideal client like that, then you're not going to feel like, oh my God, which group do I go to? Or say yes to all the invites that are going to come. And then, you know, in that sort of story of procrastination, you just end up then scrolling down the whole day and nothing is done.
Nothing's going on. No, it's a nightmare, isn't it? I think it's using you can kind of put your purpose into a strategy then as well, and that's the thing. So it is pragmatic. It is extremely pragmatic, but it's something that I always tell people: do not skip this. Do not skip this part. This is like the integral part. You know, absolutely need to do this bit. Otherwise, like me, you'll have ended up going through several different businesses while you've been in business, because one person's telling you to just do what you're good at, but what you're good at isn't necessarily what you enjoy. You know, you have to find that kind of what you're energetically aligned with as well. What's not going to sap the soul out of you. Just because I'm good at doing this doesn't mean I want to do it. You know, so there's all of those things to be taken into consideration. And I'm sure you take.
Oh, we could carry on for the whole afternoon.
We turn it into a masterclass.
We
could actually. That's a bloody good idea. All right then. Well, thank you so much, Sylvia. I'm going to stop the live now and the recording, so bear with. Guys. So if you've got any comments or questions or anything, just pop them in the comments. All right, lovelies, and see you later. Mwah.